During a performance review, my department head looked me dead in the eye and said, "Honestly, we just needed someone to fill a seat. You're lucky to even be here." When I asked about a promotion, he snorted. "Promotion? Maybe after you learn to make a decent copy of someone else's work." I thanked him for his honesty, went back to my desk, and finalized my offer with a competitor, one that ended up stealing 3 of our biggest accounts. Thanks to me. I worked at a marketing agency in Austin. Not a massive place, but we had solid clients: real estate firms, regional fast food chains, one national fitness brand. I had been there a little over 3 years. Started out entry level, ran the numbers, made the reports. Slowly got more responsibility. Eventually, I was leading campaign strategy for 3 of our biggest accounts. I wasn't the loudest in meetings, but when something needed to get done, people came to me. But Rick McCulley never saw it that way. He was the head of the department. Late 50s, gray hair that looked like he cut it himself, always had mustard on his shirt. Rick loved to hear himself talk. He had this way of pretending to compliment people while insulting them. Like once he told a coworker, "You're so dependable. Like a seat cushion." That was his version of praise. My direct boss, Paula, wasn't awful. She tried to be supportive but always folded in front of Rick. She once told me, "You have good instincts, but Rick's old school. Try to stay on his good side." That brings me to the performance review. It was on a Tuesday. I remember because I skipped breakfast to go over my notes and stats one more time. I had a thick folder of campaign results, engagement growth charts, client testimonials, everything. I even had a short list of process improvements I'd led. I walked into the meeting thinking maybe, just maybe, I was about to level up. Rick didn't even let me sit down properly. He glanced at the folder, then leaned back in his chair and said, "Honestly, we just needed someone to fill a seat. You're lucky to even be here. No build-up.
No feedback sandwich."
Just that. I stared at him thinking maybe it was a joke, but he didn't laugh. He just started typing something on his laptop. I asked about the lead strategist role that had been open for 2 months. I had been handling the workload already. Clients were happy. I figured if not now, then when? Rick didn't even look at me. He snorted. And I don't mean a quick laugh. He snorted, like I had said something stupid. "Promotion," he said, shaking his head. "Maybe after you learn to make a decent copy of someone else's work." That's when I realized something. This man never planned to promote me. He probably didn't even respect me. All this time, I had been working myself sick for a company that thought of me as a placeholder. I said, "Thanks for the honesty." And I meant it. Not because I appreciated it, but because now I knew exactly where I stood. I walked back to my desk, pulled up the email from Winfield and Hunt, the competitor. They'd reached out a few weeks ago. Bigger agency, better pay, more creative freedom. Their message had said, "We've been following your campaigns. We like what we see. Let's talk." I had been hesitant to jump ship before. Not anymore. I responded that afternoon. Scheduled the interview. By Thursday, I had the offer in hand, but I didn't quit. Not yet, because I had an idea. See, Rick didn't realize just how deep I was in the client accounts, or how much of the strategy lived in my head, or how much trust one had built with the people who actually signed the checks. He thought I was just filling a seat. He was about to find out exactly what that seat controlled. So I had the offer. Winfield and Hunt wanted me. More money, better title, real respect. But I didn't accept it right away. I needed time. Not to think I'd made up my mind the second Rick snorted at me, but to set up what came next. I had 3 key clients under me. Let's call them Clearbank, a regional bank with 80+ branches, Jaxi Fit, a fitness brand that had just gone national, South Star Foods, a fast food chain expanding across Texas. I had been the lead strategist on all 3 for over a year. Not just on paper. I was the one who had their CMOs on speed dial. I fixed messes at 10 p.m. I convinced them to renew contracts when they had one foot out the door. They didn't just know me. They trusted me. So before I turned in my notice, I made 3 calls. I didn't try to poach them directly. That would be messy. I just hinted. I said things like, "Not sure how long I'll be on this account, just giving you a heads up. I've been exploring some growth opportunities elsewhere." And my favorite, If I leave, I'll make sure you're in good hands, though I can't promise it'll be anyone you've met before. Each one of them asked the same thing. Where are you going? I didn't tell them. Not yet. But I said, I'll reach out once the ink is dry. I gave it 2 weeks. Enough time to document what I could so I'd look clean, but not enough for anyone to replace me properly. Then I turned in my resignation. Rick called me into his office. I'll never forget his face. You're leaving? He said, confused. Yes. Where are you going? I smiled and said, someplace where I'm not just filling a seat. He didn't like that. Not one bit. He told me to clean out my desk by the end of the day. No handoff, no farewell email. Just like that. But here's the thing, clients talk. And 2 weeks after I started at Winfield and Hunt, they started moving. Clearbank reached out. They said, we're not happy with how the transition's going. Would you consider taking over our account again? I didn't say yes. I sent them to our new business team. 3 weeks later, JaxyFit followed. Then Southstar. All 3 were gone from Rick's agency within 90 days. Each one came to Winfield and Hunt. Not because I begged them. Not because we undercut prices. But because they trusted me and Rick's team. Had no one left who could handle the work. I didn't even have to try that hard. Rick had built a culture where no one stayed long enough to care. I was the last loyal one. And when I left, the cracks split wide open. I heard from Paula later. She called me one night after a few drinks and said, Rick's in a tailspin. He said you gutted us like a fish. I didn't respond. Because here's the truth. I didn't gut anything. I just took my seat with me when I left. And it turns out it wasn't just a seat. After the dust started to settle, things got quiet at Winfield and Hunt, too quiet. We were onboarding the new clients, and the leadership was thrilled. But me? I kept looking over my shoulder. Rick wasn't the type to let something like this go. About 2 months after I left, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Later I listened. It was short. We need to talk about some materials you allegedly took with you. This is your former employer reaching out through counsel. I just stared at my phone. They were accusing me of stealing. I knew what they were fishing for: campaign data, strategy docs, performance metrics. Stuff I worked on but didn't take. Rick must have thought the only reason clients followed me was because I took proprietary info. He couldn't believe it was just trust. I forwarded the voicemail to HR at Winfield and Hunt. They looped in legal right away. Our lawyers shut it down fast. We hadn't used a single document from my old job. Everything new was custom. The clients confirmed it. Still, it rattled me. Rick wasn't just mad. He was trying to smear me. But here's where things got weird. One night, about a month after that legal scare, I got a DM on LinkedIn. It was from a new hire at my old company. She wrote, "Hey, not sure if you remember me. I just started working at the agency. Wanted to ask, did you really sabotage the Clearbank handoff?" I messaged back, "What are you talking about?" She said Rick had been going around telling people I deleted campaign files, wiped shared folders, and misled clients on purpose to burn the place down. I was floored. I hadn't touched a thing. My exit was clean. Even Paula had thanked me before I walked out. I didn't respond to the message. But the next morning, I sent an email to Winfield and Hunt's legal team, just to cover myself. They said, as long as no formal claim is filed, there's nothing to do. Just document everything. Fine. I could deal with whispers. But then came the twist I didn't expect. Winfield and Hunt asked me to speak at a local marketing conference. Nothing huge, just a panel about client trust and campaign strategy. I agreed. I thought it'd be good exposure. The panel was 3 people. Me, a CMO from JaxyFit, and, wait for it, Rick. Apparently, he had pivoted to consulting and landed a speaker spot through a friend. I showed up that morning, saw his name on the list, and almost walked out. But I stayed. When they introduced me, I looked right at him and said, I used to be part of a team where I was just filling a seat. Then I learned that building trust can be more powerful than any title. His jaw tightened. He didn't say a word during my talk. But after the panel, he approached me. I know what you're doing, he hissed. I'm just doing my job, I said, calm. You burned my house down. No, I said, looking him in the eye. You lit the match when you opened your mouth. He walked off. A week after the panel, things came to a head. I got a call from one of our HR leads. She said, "We've received a formal complaint from your old employer. They're alleging you deleted proprietary materials and misrepresented your role to poach clients." I sat still for a second. "They attached documents," she said, "but something about them doesn't add up." I asked her to send them over. When I saw the files, I laughed. Rick had put together a PDF with timestamps showing me deleting campaign folders from a shared drive. Only problem? The drive had been locked to IT-only access for over a year. I couldn't have deleted anything even if I wanted to. That restriction was put in place after someone else, ironically. Rick himself accidentally wiped a folder full of data 6 months before I left. I forwarded the internal IT emails we had saved during that time. One of them even said, "Rick requested admin access back in October. Denied for security." When Winfield and Hunt's lawyers saw the full chain, they stopped everything. They filed a cease and desist against Rick personally. It went public in the local marketing news circuit. Rick was now facing a defamation threat. And worse, Clearbank caught wind of the mess and posted a subtle but brutal press release. "We value partnerships based on integrity, respect, and transparency. Recent events have reinforced why we moved our business." His consulting gigs dried up fast. Within 2 weeks, his name was pulled from 2 upcoming panels. I didn't dance on his grave. I didn't need to. But that wasn't the final twist. "Remember Paula?" She called me again, this time sober. She said, "I should have stood up for you when I had the chance. I let him control the narrative. I didn't say anything." She continued, "They let him go last week, after the complaint blew up in their face. So Rick lost his title, his clients, and his reputation. But here's where I'll own up to my part. I wanted revenge. I didn't just walk away. I planned every piece of this. I didn't steal. I didn't lie. But I wanted him to hurt. I wanted him to feel like I felt sitting in that chair, being told I was just a seat filler. And he did. But I learned something in the process. Sometimes you get your revenge and it feels damn good. Other times you look back and realize you lost a little of yourself to get it. Would I do it again? Yeah, I would. But next time, I won't wait for permission to leave a room where I'm not respected. I'll build my own. And I'll make damn sure the door is locked behind me.